Hey everyone, it's Sarah. I know that a lot of my friends have been asking for like a garden tour, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a basic overview of everything that I have in my garden. So I hope you enjoy. The first thing that I'm going to just show you guys is the two raised garden beds that we have outside of our garage. The first one here has a variety of different onions. I think there's white, purple, and regular sweet gold. And then we also have rhubarb, which is a perennial. It's one of the two perennial plants that I have planted. The next garden bed that we have here has potatoes in it. They are starting to bloom, so they'll be harvesting, or I'll be harvesting them here probably within the next few weeks. Hopefully, this is my first year with potatoes, so I guess it's just a learning process for me this year. But we do have, I think, 3 different kinds of potatoes. We have, it's either purple or blue, then we have white, and then we have a gold potato. So they're doing really well this year also. And then we're going to go ahead and show you a couple other things that are outside of the main garden area before we go into the garden. So one of the other things that we have outside of our main garden is this pallet planter for strawberries. It didn't work out like we thought it was going to, so next year we're going to change a few things up and we'll make a video next year whenever we go to do that. But for right now, it's going to serve the purpose. The only problem is that we have critters eating our strawberry plants right now. The next thing that we're going to look at is actually where we have another perennial plant planted, which is asparagus. Right here is where we have our asparagus planted. So we have some crowns that were planted, and then I actually started some asparagus from seed. The ones that are over here are the ones that are from seed, and then right here where it's a little bit lighter in color on the ground are the ones that we planted crowns for, or crowns with, I should say. So just to do a little close-up, one of the crowns that we did plant already sprouted an asparagus. Obviously we're not going to be able to pick it this year, but I did want to just give you a little show of what it looks like. And then the seeded ones are going to look like that. Hopefully next year they start to take root a lot better and look more like this next year. So those were the few things that we have outside of the main garden area, which we do have fenced in. So let's just go ahead and take a look to see what we have in there today. The first thing that you'll see is we do have this trellis here, and I have a couple different things growing on the trellis. The first plant that I have here is a dragon gourd. It's a non-edible gourd plant. It's more decorative. Then I have 3 different kinds of cucumbers. I have Early Fortune. These smaller cucumber leaves are Mexican sour gherkins. And then over here I have more Mexican sour gherkins, as well as Boston pickling cucumbers. So those are much shorter. Short fat cucumbers are the Boston pickling. The long slender ones are the Early Fortune. And then back here I have the crown of thorns gourd plant, another inedible, more decorative gourd plant. And then over here on this side I have a strawberry crown winter squash. That is an edible squash. It's the first year that I'm growing a winter squash, and actually it's the first year of me growing decorative squashes as well. All of the plants in here I did start from seed myself, and I can go into more depth about that at a later time in a different video. Over here we have our sweet pepper plants. They were kind of overtaken by the zucchini plants that I had here, so I did tie them back slightly to see if I could get them a little more sun so they could grow. The 4 bell pepper plants that are in pots back here are ones that I did not start from seed, but the bell pepper plants right here, which are bullnose bell pepper plants, those I did start from seed. And then there are actually 3 zucchini plants right here. And then behind the zucchini plants, I have Paxton's Progress peas, and they're going to be ready to pick here soon. I'm not going to have enough to really like can or do anything, but to just snack on will be good enough for them. Right here in this raised garden bed, I have my lettuce mix. It's just a leaf lettuce mix. Really, you just cut it, eat it, and it grows back. You don't pull it up out of the ground like you do head lettuce. I did have giant noble spinach, dwarf spinach, and then dwarf kale planted right here. I have since removed it, and I'm actually going to be processing it this weekend, which I might make another video for. We'll see. And then I replanted in this section with some green onions, or the green evergreen bunching onions. So those are the ones that you pick after like 60 days, I think, and they stay small. I haven't decided what I'm going to replant in these areas yet. I have a blushing green onion that I might replant. I might do some more, or I might do like radishes, something that grows fairly quickly. And then I have 2 cabbage plants here. Don't know if they're actually going to do pretty well, but we'll see how they go. And then over here you'll see my herb garden, and it kind of looks toppled over because it was windy the other day. But I have a few things in here. Some of it's doing really well, others are not. I have oregano, I think is what this one is. There's some basil that's right here. And then I did take a picture so that I could remember what was here, but I can't find that picture. So one of these is parsley and one is cilantro, and then I have dill here as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the stuff that's in this main section that's in the ground before I move over to the last garden bed that we have. So over here and I guess the main part of the fenced in garden area where everything's planted in the ground, these are my green beans. I think they're Cantare variety, a Cantare bean. I'll list down everything that I have planted in my garden in the description below. I had to also tie these back because they were starting to flop over into my banana peppers and my cucumber plants. So right here, as I already said, I have my banana peppers. And then right here is my little forest of tomato plants. I have about 36 tomato plants, 5 different varieties. One is a black cherry tomato, which was store-bought. The second variety is a yellow pear, which was actually given to me by a friend. The third variety is Lucky Tiger tomato. The fourth variety is San Marzano tomatoes, which are your paste tomatoes. And then the fifth variety that I had was Dr. Wyche's, which is your giant slicer tomato. This year I did have a little experiment with the suckers on tomato plants, but I think I'm going to save that for a different video just so that I can give you a quick overview of what's actually in my garden this year. So the next plant that I'm going to go over is the Jacob's Cattle Bush Bean. This bean variety is actually one that I'm going to use as a dried bean. So once the pod forms and the beans form inside the pod, I'm just going to leave them on there until the plant's dead and the bean pods are dry. And then I'm going to be harvesting them for the dried beans so that I can make baked beans and things like that. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is our little patch of more zucchini plants, but also Pattison squash. So I think there are probably 4 of each in here. The Pattison squash are little like floret looking squashes, and then the zucchinis are the long slender green cylindrical squashes. I'll be posting like a little slideshow of pictures of examples of all the plants that I have on here that are actually have fruit bearing on them, just so you guys can see where they're at. The next thing that we have in our garden, so the next thing that we're going to talk about are our peppers, the hot pepper varieties that we have. We have jalapeno peppers right here, and then we have cayenne peppers right here on this side. And then next to the peppers, we have a big patch of ground cherry tomatoes. And I'll be sure to do a video specific to ground cherry, the ground cherry plant itself and ground cherries in general, just because it's my first year growing them, and I am super excited and thrilled about the growth rate and just learning about the plant in general. The next plant that we have in our garden, we actually have two varieties, are eggplants. Didn't work out that well this year in regards to the location, so I think next year I'm going to place them somewhere else, but they're still going to grow, and we'll see if we can get anything off of them this year. We have a Malaysian red eggplant, and then we have a Listada de Gandia eggplant. So these are the Listada de Gandia, and this is the Malaysian red. You can actually see the Malaysian red kind of have like a red tone onto the leaf. And then right here we have green onions. So I did just plant some green onions, but these green onions have been in the ground for a little over a month and a half now. So that's where they're at right now, and they'll probably be pretty good to pick now if you want little onions, or wait a little longer to get some bigger ones. So this is our last raised garden bed and the last bit of our garden. We had radishes right here, which we already pulled up and used, or the ones that overgrew we just put in our compost pile, and then we reseeded some more radishes. These are parsnips, first year growing them. Then next to those we have some carrots, and those are doing pretty well as well. And then this is also our first year for growing beets. We have a couple beet plants. We're not too fond of beets in our household, but my boyfriend does enjoy pickled eggs made of beet juice, so I think I might try to do something like that with those small amount of beets that I have. And then the final plant that we have is the purple kohlrabi plant. Again, first year that I'm growing it, and it's doing very well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to post them below. If you enjoyed the content that I provided today, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for future videos on gardening. Tim's mushrooms! Freya. Freya, hey. Hey. She's getting all wet going into the zucchini.
Freya.
So, still trying to figure out what's... Hi, Freya. Look how wet and dirty you are. Were you playing in the plants? Yeah? Oh, okay. I'll let you lay on that tomato plant because this is just an experiment. So this is one of the suckers that I planted, and you can actually see that it's starting to actually form some blooms. This is a sucker plant, that's a sucker plant, that one is, and then so I'm gonna keep this. It's good. And I know some people are like, oh, we'll take the tops off. I eat the whole thing. Alright. Back here we have our eggplants, which, ooh, that's spicy. Wow, that's a little spicy. the growth of it. Like there are all these like little black beetles all over it. So I might need to actually get some sort of bug dust. You where they're at right now with that. Freya, get close up of her. Guard dog at work. Get over here. What are you doing? That's the neighbor's yard.